major. And this was the result of our 467 class this year. This was the Helix Light.
Use your big voice.
Okay. As some of you may know, they recycled the prompt they used last year. It was a product that uses LEDs in a creative way. And so we took a lot of inspiration from a couple of projects that came out of last year, such as the Trilogy and the Nova Light, and that sparked our interest into doing a lighting project. And the Helix is what we came up with. So it's called the Helix because it has a flexible design that allows the light to rotate and kind of resembles a double helix or a DNA strand. So this took us 10 weeks to figure out. We manufactured 60 units of this product, and they are for sale if you're interested. But
yeah, it's been really fun to work on. It's been a lot of hours in the lab, at least for most of us. We are a team of only 8 people. I think most projects in the past are more like 10 to 15. So that has been a struggle. And our group is all 3rd years, which has been kind of fun. We got to use a lot of different things that we've never used before. I know for the acrylic, we're using a laser cutter. For most of our wood pieces, we used the water jet, which was a pretty fun experience. Definitely something I've never used before and got to get familiar with, quite familiar with hours of sitting in front of it. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely some classes like 233, learning that SolidWorks modeling has kind of helped me like create this design first to get a view of it before we fully plunged into the idea and started cutting stock and whatnot. So 233 was a really great base course for this, as well as 230 or 326. This project was basically the 326 project, but in real life. So learned a lot.
Which one's that called?
Product design and development. So you do the same type of project where you're modeling and prototyping, but with this project, you actually have to sell it and create multiple units. But yeah, there was definitely a couple of really great ITP courses that prepped me well for this class, as well as just being in the labs, working in the labs, and getting to use all of the machinery that that our labs offer. Yeah.
What was the hardest part?
Hardest part, I would say probably just timing it all. 10 weeks feels like a lot at the beginning of the quarter, but you know, once you're at week 5 and you don't really, or at least in our experience, you don't really start the project until week 5, or it doesn't come together physically. So I think timing was really important. There's definitely some aspects of the specific prompt with LEDs that were a little bit hard. I personally have no idea how electrical works, but Jacob here helped us out with that a lot and did some outside research. We had to do a little bit of outsourcing, but yeah, ended up learning a lot.
Okay.
What is that? It's powered just via a plug, and the inside is hollow and it's filled. No.
Is it exterior or interior?
It's probably more designed for interior. It probably could go outside, but I don't think it would last very long.
Yeah, these materials, I would say definitely more inside. That was what we pictured when we first designed it.
So one more question we want to.
Prices on that, how long does it take to manufacture a unit?
Who cares about that stuff, Joe? Who cares? It's cool.
So I can answer most of those. So our cost is roughly around like $50 a unit. We're selling them at 95. We had a pre-order sale price at 85, and then I think today's the 9th. Yeah, today we're doing a student discount for $69.99 a piece. As far as time to manufacture, there's a lot of variables that go into it. Cutting wise, it's about 20 minutes per piece. So the laser cutting, each acrylic piece is about a minute. There's 13 pieces. Each wood piece takes each one of these blocks, the wood for that takes about a minute on the water jet. And then the base and the top piece took another like 5 minutes or so. Assembly is probably about 25 minutes. And then there's also our backbone that goes down the center, which is like a metal rod that has the LEDs wrapped around it. That takes 15 minutes to assemble maybe. And then there's also some 3D printed parts integrated in there that took some time to print. So it all adds up, but with the process we do, we kind of do it like piece by piece. And then our last step is just assembling everything together.
All right, good job.
Right, well, so our group, we went with an analytical approach to figure out how to what product to sell specifically. So I personally have some experience using a program called Helium 10, which allowed me to like figure out on Amazon specifically, because we all know Amazon is more than 50% of sales on the internet. So I used Amazon specifically research tool to find a hole in the niche between coffee table decor and coasters. And so we're kind of creating a hybrid of that. So we came up with this, which is a capacitive sensor coaster. We used a laser cutter that I have in my garage because getting a laser cutter at Mustang 60 and getting time on that was too much because it takes like 2 minutes to laser cut the acrylic each time. And so it didn't really make sense to have someone sitting in there pressing buttons all day when you can be hanging out in your house, cooking food and doing dishes and stuff, and then pressing the laser cutter on and off. So we did the laser cutting at my house. We got acrylic, wood, capacitive sensor. The circuitry was pretty hard. We didn't really have quite the resources available to us as far as the circuitry design. Tried to outsource it on a website called Fiverr, which was difficult because it wasn't consistent as far as like who we were working with to have them pull through and be consistent with the time crunch that we had. Charlie pulled through and was able to get the touch sensor to function properly. This is manufactured using a CNC router from the CAED workshop. And we were able to CNC route out a batch of wood in 3 hours, which turns out to be around like 3 minutes per coaster. The coasters take 18 minutes to manufacture each. 8 minutes of that is electrical. So if we were to order a PCB, it would be only about 10 minutes to manufacture. And the margins on each of them is $17 when they are, or the net on each of them is $17. With the laser engraving, we charge $5 for that. Cost on each of them is only about $8. So
Is there any labor going to tell in your cost of this?
yeah, $20 an hour. $20 an hour. Yeah. So that comes out to be like $3 per unit. Only thinks about
18. Yeah, I realize we didn't introduce our names. So our name is Central Coasters. I'm Kai, Ian, Connor, Scott, Charlie. Yeah, and I would say one of the cool things about this group is when we actually formed as a team, on the first day, we actually thought of doing a hexagon coaster. So it's kind of cool to see the process roadmaps of exploring different options and weeding them out and continuing with the hexagon coaster, as well as figuring out the wood, the acrylic, the electrical components, how we originally wanted to have the light shine up into the drink. And now we have it going down surrounding the drink, spreading it out with acrylic.
Cool. Additionally, we sold out after we posted our little ad in the Mustang parents page on Facebook, which was quite a hit. There was a lot of comments and people wishing to buy. And then also at our farmers market, we collected emails for interest, just in case we ever want to revisit this project.
I think one of our biggest insights when we were doing like our sales and marketing was just if we figure out a way to put Cal Poly on something, it'll just sell like hotcakes, which is what we did. And I think about 90% of the sales that we had were with the Cal Poly engraving on them. Cool. It's a later thing. So we manufactured 120.
Yeah, I think it's 126 to be exact, or 120, and then we have like 118 orders. So yeah, 118 units sold. Yeah, I think we still have another 30 or 40 units on standby because we had to shut down the website to stop taking in orders. But yeah, a lot of us still need to fulfill some orders, so we're yeah. But yeah, it was really cool because during this whole process, I feel like there was times of doubts that our product wasn't going to perform super well because there's obviously some really good groups out there too with really amazing products, but it was really cool to see that it was able to sell out like that. So we're pretty proud of that.
Yeah, they're talking now. So are you sharing screen? Is that where you are? There you go.
Thank you.
All right, there we go.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. We're the Argo team. My name is Molly.
My name is Matt. My name's Cole.
I'm Audrey. And we'll get into a little bit about our team. Only 4 of us could be here today, but this is the rest of our team. I guess I was a co-operations manager all quarter working with Tori, so that was a really fun experience.
I was like one of the manufacturing engineers that just like mostly took care of like, I don't know, all the hard materials and resources and just putting things together. I worked alongside Matt. Me and Matt kind of both spearheaded the whole production and like prototyping in real life. So we had another teammate, Cole Murphy. He was our like lead prototyper, good on the computer and nice with the CAD, but it was our job to then create whatever vision he had and make that actual into a real product, which is always a fun task.
And my job was logistics, but I sort of did a few different things. Like a lot of the woodworking, I sort of was focusing on in the beginning.
So I thought it'd be kind of fun to include a photo from like our first day. That was the first week of the first day. All those smiling faces. And then this is what we've kind of arrived to as our products.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about the prototyping phase. It was kind of a pain to really figure out what we wanted to do. Like, I mean, I feel like that's like the whole part of the project, but I don't know. So at first, we thought we were going to just do floating shelves. The iteration one we see on the left was like the first model idea that we had. We thought we were just going to have like a back panel, weld 2 prongs to it, and then just drill 2 holes into the wood and just be able to slide it on and off. But we had the pleasure of coming up with something with LED lighting. That was the theme of our project this year. So once we kind of came up with our idea, we were like, all right, how do we want to incorporate LEDs? So then the idea of backlighting came in, which you can see in iteration 2. But it was really complicated to kind of figure out, you know, backlighting like that, how we were going to route into the wood. We didn't want to chew up the wood too much. Also, we don't have any woodworking materials in the metals lab. So it was really hard to kind of like outsource that or figure out where we wanted to go and do that. We ended up doing a lot of the woodworking over in the CAD shop that's directly behind the ITAB metals lab. And Tim and Dave were awesome, like helping us out. We really appreciated that. And then, yeah, we came to iteration 3. We decided to inlay LEDs with some acrylic on top. And yeah, this is the final product you can see right here. We used we just called them forks with our metal bracketing. With all the metal, we just picked up a big sheet of 10 gauge steel, cut it all out on the water jet. Then we bent these right here, welded it all together right here. These are the welds, and then sent them off to go get powder coated. We made 55 all at once, and then powder coated them all at once. So yeah.
You want to go to the next slide? I think a big learning step was trying to figure out what we could do in what time. And
I try to really focus on making a repeatable product. So we wanted to make the perfect prototype and then get that perfect prototype perfect every time. We wanted to use a lot of more, not even jig. Well, yeah, we used a couple jigs. We used the jig for the bending of the forks, but more just like CNC processes and getting automation involved rather than having to like hand read numbers and using the mill or our hand routers. So we were trying to use a hand router at first to do the holes and just kept running into issues. And Tim and Dave from the CAD shop, very gracious enough to help us on the CNC router. I'd never used a CNC router before, so definitely learning how to CAN and CAD, using that software and my SolidWorks knowledge as well, or as is, was a fun experience. And we always help them out using our water jet. We were able to cut out all of the acrylic pieces on the water jet. We ran into some tolerance issues because our water jet is pretty finicky in the lab. So every time it breaks and we fix it, there's always some minor tweaking that we have to do. So we ended up replacing the nozzle on the water jet, and because it was cutting too precisely, we then fucked up our tolerances and had to readjust things to make them smaller. But you live and you learn.
Yeah, and I think something to also mention is that what's really cool about the process is that we got to divide and conquer. So Audrey, myself, and 2 others got certified in the CAD wood shop. So we were kind of on wood duty. Matt and Cole were great with the water jet and the welding, but again, we all wore different hats. So we all got to learn different pieces of the project. And we really stayed regimented to our schedule to be done with manufacturing so we could really focus on sales, which we do have a couple more shelves available. So I'll go to the next slide after this if Audrey wants to add anything. But we would love to have you guys purchase the last 9. But yeah, Audrey, do you want to add anything else?
I think it worked really well as a group overall. I think that was like the biggest takeaway that I had. Like Molly was really on top of our scheduling. Like we stayed pretty much exactly on track, and we finished our production like on Wednesday, and then got to hang out as a group. And I thought that our team dynamic worked super well with our different jobs. So, cool piece.
Yeah, but you guys can check out our website here. This is an image of the final product. But yeah, it is a plug-in light. We did look at getting battery powered LEDs, but the longevity of that and then being able to replace that was really difficult. You guys
Yeah, I think like the longest charge on like the most reasonably sized lithium ion battery, because like we were trying to inlay everything. So if we wanted to put in a lithium ion battery, we had to like route it out and put it inside of the wood. And the most reasonable size one that we could put in only held a charge for like 4 hours. So we were like, what's even the point of having a shelf that lights up if it's like only 4 hours and then you have to plug it back in? Yeah. So we're like, well, let's just put a wire on it. I don't know.
And the beauty of it too is that you can unplug it, you can flip the thing off the shelf. We actually branded all the shelves too. So if you don't even like that lighting element, you can just have the brand.
Not a great one.
That's not right.
All the good shelves are packaged already.
Yeah. This is a prototype, but yes, you want to check out our website.
All right, so good job. Let's give them a hand. We can sort of see how super knowledgeable they are, and it's really nice to see. Questions for well, let's see. So I want to do 2 things. I want to do we'll do a round of questions, but could we, before we do that, could I do like sort of a senior sort of roll call? And so who you are and what are you going to do next? Right? Who you are and what are you going to do next? Starting with the front, any seniors up here?
I got a job with WLR as a here, so I'll be moving to Flash.
Okay, good job. Anybody else? And you might have to come forward a little bit because it's a pretty long shot from the back. Anybody on the back?
I'm already up there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I'm going to be working with Ray over the summer still working out, helping in the lab. And then I think I'm going to go to Mexico in October.
My name's Matt. I'm a senior. I still have like another quarter before I graduate, but as soon as I graduate, me and 2 of my buddies are going to go to India and race to tuk-tuk all the way to and once I'm done doing that, I don't know what I'm going to do. So.
Yeah. You guys want to when you guys come up, you're pretty fast. Get in front.
All right, hi everyone, I'm Kylan Abueda. I'm also a graduating senior and I will be moving to Chicago doing an entry-level program for Kraft Heinz after college. My name is Connor Ahern, and after graduating, I'm moving to LA and working for Boeing in their space side, doing like procurement logistics.
My name's Scott Brennan. I'm another graduate here, and I will be moving back to San Jose and applying for various sales roles.
I'm Charlie Mottenbach. I'll be doing industrial design for a startup in LA this summer, and then I'll come back here for another quarter and hopefully start my own business. Startup that create products for to help limit screen usage. So that's kind of the direction.
Super.
My name is Lauren Hughes. I will be joining Raytheon Technologies in their Operations and Supply Chain Leadership Development Program.
My name is Ian Gavantor. I do not have a job lined up right after school, but I'm gonna travel a little bit. I bought a one-way ticket to Europe after I graduate in the end of June. I don't know what's gonna happen when I'm coming back, but I'll finish off that journey and then come back and probably start a business. So.
Okay, so with that, others open forum for a little bit. I'll put 3 minutes on my timer here so we can sort of stay on schedule, and the folks online can figure out sort of what they're going to do. We need to talk about that. But anybody questions for these guys, comments, any of the projects or things a student did?
Example of conflict and cyber issues. Yes, you can outsource a lot of things. So just conflict and dealing with the team, what you learn with different personalities.
I can talk on that. So we had a pretty crazy bottleneck when it came to designing our bracket file. We just couldn't seem to get it right, and we kept like water jetting like one, and we were just like, this isn't right, this isn't right. And then we finally got it, but it was like the day before that we had to send all the metal out to get powder coated. So I sat in the water jetting room for 12 hours cutting out all the metal. And that was like the worst day of my life. During that, me and Cole's been like my best friend since freshman year. We were roommates together. So we know how to fight like brothers. And we did. We fought like brothers that day. And there was a lot of angry text messages and some yelling. But we worked it out and we have an end product. So it's all good.
Is there a laser on campus? There's a laser somewhere?
In Mustang 60, there's a laser and so they use the laser. Oh, I'm gonna take it back. You look on the top of the coasters.
But not everyone lets you like laser cut acrylic. And so like anywhere in ITAB won't let you laser cut acrylic. Mustang 60 will, but you have to have a red tag, which none of our teammates had one.
How big is the table in your garage?
I have like a 12x9 or 12x8. Basically it's like a $500 laser cutter. It'd be nice to have in the labs.
But a lot of we would share resources with the CAD lab a lot. So there's the Construction and Innovation Lab directly behind our ITP Metals Lab. And we're kind of seen as the like smaller fish on campus. So Mustang 60 has all their rules and regulations up in the engineering department. And we kind of collaborate and use our like smaller abilities and lack of regulation to get things done that other departments can't do.
Lack of regulation. Good to know.
Given the learn by doing philosophy of college, what stretched you in your doing and learning?
Can you use another word? Can you rephrase
How are you
stretch?
stretched? How are you learn by doing?
How are we
Learn something, the process of doing it. How are you trapped?
I think every step of the way was like a new challenge, but it was kind of one of those things where like everybody was just kind of like on it enough to figure it out. You know, we had some guidance from BJ and Raphael, but I honestly really appreciated the fact that they kind of like took a step back and just let us figure it out. because I feel like so much more knowledgeable in what I can do in the metals lab. I've worked in the lab for the past 2 years, but now I'm like, oh, I can do everything in here. And on top of that, like working with a team of 9 and really like figuring out how to get things done together was probably one of the hardest things I had to do in college. You know, it's like, that's a lot of people and a lot of things can go wrong. There's a lot of communication error when you're going through 9 people. And like, that was the biggest learn by doing moment that I feel like I've had so far. Just kind of like really having to communicate, really having to like demonstrate patience with people. I mean, people having to demonstrate patience with me, you know, like, I don't know, that was for sure that was what stretched me the most.
Yeah, and to bounce off of Matt, I feel like a lot of times you have a process and you have an idea in your head of how you're going to do it. And then you go out and you do it and you learn that's not probably the best way to do something. So even with a product as small as this, we ran into a bunch of errors and we had to counter and find new solutions constantly until we actually had a final product that worked.
I think a lot of it, honestly, for this project is a lot of time management skills.
Yeah.
Because although we're scheduled for like, we have 2 4-hour blocks throughout the week, but then at any given hour, like throughout the day, there's at least 2 or 3 people from each team, like in the lab doing something. There's always like something else that needs to be done. And because we use the CAD lab so much, we then had to assist kids from the CAD lab using our water jet. So me and Matt definitely spent hours like coordinating after lab, before lab, like in little like 20-minute chunks, like just trying to get anything done in what little time we had.
Yeah, this is pretty cool, but one of the ARCE senior projects came to us to water jet. And we ended up water jetting. They had like these tension strips made out of sheet steel that they wanted to like put up on posts, and it would kind of help with like a failure, like a load failure. They explained it to me and I was just kind of like, okay, I'll just cut it out. But pretty much like they went to Mustang 60 and they were like, we can't cut these out. Like, you guys are idiots for even trying this. Like, this is ridiculous. And then they came to us and we cut everything out perfectly for them. So that was kind of like a really cool feeling where we were like, all right, like all these engineers like couldn't even figure it out. And me and Cole just like sat in there and like moved things around on the water jet, like, stood on it and just like started moving weights around. It was ridiculous. It was like fully ridiculous, but we got it done for them and they were super appreciative. So that was a cool feeling too.
Yeah, ease of.
Thank you. Thank
you. Yeah. I like that. I like that.
Yeah. All right, let's give these guys a hand. Thank you so much. You guys want to take your stuff away so we don't break it or hurt it or wherever you want to?
I'm gonna break it.
Yeah, we're gonna burn all these.